Effective sustaining from Baron. Maybe a little too much. Phil is a magnet for these bubbles, by the way. Spud gets the ulti down. He does clip wind on the very end of it. But the Baron is up and available. Wiggly is going to go down. Now the Baron's there for the taking. And Ori knows he's going to rush into the pit. Shockwave is going to whip for Pobelter. They needed that one, Fud. He's going to find himself the double kill, and he's going to leap onto Pobelter as well. He's going to get the kill. Are you kidding me, Fud? He's going to make it a quadra kill before he goes down. But
wander all the way back around the rift. You need a TP to find anything.
All right, Alfari flashed away from the supreme display of talent, but still got damage done. Nemesis is being eaten away by the cannon barrage. He stays alive long enough. Alfari in the 1v2 gets the kill.
But it's still going to go down, but Khan right to the backside. Caps goes gold, and there's no one else to follow up. Khan's damage doesn't matter. But the ulti comes out in such a close exchange. For now, they're winning, but Perkz is coming in. This is his hero moment. If he wants to turn this fight in favor of team, this could be the game-defining moment. Faker is gone. Teddy's next on the list. There's no way he can duel Yasuo. Amada's coming in, but he's just walking into the meat grinder of Perkz. Khan, can he do it? It's not enough. They've done it. G2. Khan, can he get it done? He can't. The Vladimir. They can't do it. This is it. The greatest team in the history of League of Legends, taken down by the greatest team Europe has ever produced.
Looking ahead to the start of NA competition in 2021 as an outsider and someone who didn't follow LCS too closely in 2020, there's two teams in particular that it's real easy to get excited for. It's the two teams that have the best on-paper lineups locked in already, Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Starting with TL, Paid by Steve is here to stay and has given us a super team of NA proportions. In the top lane, it's Alphari, consistently one of the best top laners in Europe. Alphari has a reasonably high skill ceiling with a high floor as well, making him a very consistent player capable of filling the shoes left by Impact. He can perform under any circumstances, as shown in Origin in the 2020 LEC, which is a very important skill to have in the top lane, where at times you will just be left on your own, sometimes just dictated by the meta. In the jungle, it's Santorin, arguably the best jungler in NA in 2020. A very meta-resistant player, Santorin comes off his best split ever. Him and Power of Evil carry the roster with Wild Turtle and Solo to a first place finish in the regular season, second in the playoffs, and a respectable finish in their Worlds group that included the victory over the LPL giants Top Esports. In the mid lane, it's Jensen, maybe the best mid laner NA has ever produced. And the fact that even most TSM fans are willing to discuss the subject nowadays shows you everything you need to know about Jensen himself. He's a consistently high-level player, period. In bottom, it's Tactical, one of the best talents NA has produced in a long time. He showed a good performance in Summer and at Worlds, and I think Team Liquid is the perfect place for him to grow into one of, if not the best ADCs from NA. With experienced players and the best support in CoreJJ around him, TL just has the perfect conditions to teach him to play the game on a higher level, meaning to not just play his role, his champ, his lane, but to play for the map and into different win conditions. In support, it's of course the aforementioned CoreJJ, world champion, 2-time finalist, 4-time LCS champion, basically one of the biggest winners in LOL esports history. He showed that he's the best support in NA in a winning team, 2018, 2019, as well as a losing team in 2020, where he took a complete rookie into his lane in Tactical and led a team that finished 9th in Spring to be the best team in NA for a time and to beat every single team in their Worlds group, including the eventual finalists in Suning. Contrasting this roster to last year's lineup, I believe Team Liquid upgraded slightly in the top lane. I would rate Alphari over Impact, but not by much. Both players are very stable, but I believe Alphari won't be as phased out in the regular parts of the season as Impact can be, and I believe he brings a little bit more carry potential to the table. Impact can of course carry in his own way, but he will still do it while on tanks or bruisers with sick teamfight engages or supreme zoning. In addition to that, I believe Alfari will also be able to hard stomp his laning opponent at times, and I think TL will have a leg up in a lot of LCS games due to his laning prowess. The upgrade in the jungle is massive if you ask me. Watching Team Liquid in 2020, Broxah didn't ever really seem to fit in, until Worlds funnily enough. Team Liquid performed pretty well at Worlds, and I think Broxah had some really good games of his own, but even at that same World Championship, he still got outperformed by Santorin. And even more so if you look at the 2020 LCS splits. Santorin will bring a lot more impact from the jungle. He has proven that he can do so with multiple rosters and lineups and not just one specific one, as is the case with Broxah. Rounding out the picture, Team Liquid were able to retain their strong bot and mid lanes. Moving over to Cloud9, Jack, in contrast to past seasons and his public reputation, has opened the bank account as well and splashed on the biggest signing in LOL esports history. Bringing Perkz, the best Western player ever, over to NA. What a bombshell. And around him, Jack has built a roster of veterans in the bottom lane and up-and-coming talent in top and jungle. In that top lane, it's Fudge, a promising rookie from the late OPL, RIP. Fudge comes from C9's academy side and has shown a lot of promise both there and in his home region of Oceania, but he has yet to prove himself on the big stage. In the jungle, it's Blabber, who now has a year and a bit of professional play under his belt, and I think he has shown us what we can reasonably expect as his skill ceiling as well as his floor in dominance in the early parts of 2020, but falling apart in the latter half. In the bot lane, it's Sven, consistently one of the best ADCs from the West for a couple of years now, except for his 2-year stint on TSM that didn't go exactly his way. Sven has played with Perkz before for 1.5 years on G2, when both won 3 LEC championships together. And in support, it's Vulcan, who has performed very well since joining the LCS, and he's the last player that Jack has strategically splurged on, like he now has with Perkz, securing himself the only good available NA support at that time. Since Fudge is the only truly unknown here, at least for me when I started my research, let's have a closer look at the man that C9 let go of Licorice for. He started his career in the 2018 Oceania Challenger Series when his team, Intuition, went 13-0. No other player on that team has since been picked up to play abroad other than Fudge. Interestingly enough, Fudge only played 6 of their 13 games because the substitute top laner for Intuition was simultaneously their coach, and it was one of those weird situations where the coach actually decided to play himself for the majority of the games. In the games that Fudge was actually given, he performed quite well, going deathless in 4 out of 6 and showing his great potential while also showing some rough edges in the other games. He then got picked up by Mammoth for the OPL Summer Split 2019, and he took a team that finished 5th in spring to winners in the Summer Split without any other changes to that team. Mammoth also went to Worlds in 2019, but got knocked out in the play-in stage. In December of 2019, Fudge was then picked up by C9 Academy and has been playing for them throughout 2020, winning both Academy splits as well as the regular splits. So looking at his overall resume, only his finishes look quite impressive. a play-in stage exit at the World Championship 2019, a second placing in the regular part of the OPL 2019 Summer Split, and first places in every other competition. Still, he's a complete unknown on the big stage. Two other caveats have to be made when discussing this roster move. As Jack explained on episode 21 of the Esports Salon hosted by Thorin, a lack of personal fit was the reason that Cloud9 got somewhat surprisingly rid of Licorice in the first place. And on a somewhat larger scale, Oceania won't count as an import region for NA starting next year, which, if you consider C9 already has 2 imports from Europe on the roster, is the reason this roster move was possible in the first place. To put this roster in contrast with their 2020 counterpart as well, I believe Cloud9 have clearly upgraded in the mid lane. Perks is a skill for skill upgrade to Niski, and I believe he will be able to keep up the communication that Cloud9's mid-jungle duo was renowned for in 2020, as well as teach Blabber some new tricks. The question marks for me for Cloud9 are in top and jungle. Licorice was a consistent 8 or 9 out of 10 for NA, top 3 at every point in time, and it remains to be seen whether Fudge can fill his shoes. Blabber has of course looked very good in the spring of 2020, but also fell really flat in the latter half. Whether these two can step up or whether they will fall flat will determine Cloud9's performance in 2021. Putting these two rosters in contrast with each other, I think Team Liquid got the better team overall with the more consistent, meta-reliant players, but probably they are also paying more. Cloud9 allocated most of their budget into the mid lane, and they have the high risk, high reward, but also cheaper players in top and jungle. Running down the lanes individually, I believe Alphari will outperform Fudge in 2021. He comes in with a lot more experience at this level, and while he probably also has the higher salary, the only upside I see for Fudge is that he might have the higher skill cap. The same goes for the jungle, as I believe Santorin is the safe bet where Blabber is the gamble. Mid lane is much closer in my opinion. Skill for skill, Perks and Jensen are very evenly matched, and I think it's Perks' intangibles that put him over the top. His creativity in the game and his leadership on and off the Rift. Bottom lane is very evenly matched in my opinion, with C9 being favored in lane and Team Liquid out of lane due to Core JJ's supreme shot calling. So far, it's been all sunshine and rainbows, veterans and promising talents, but this is NA after all, so let's have a look at the rest of the league, which to me isn't half as exciting in its entirety. Starting in the top lane, we have a group of proven veterans in Alphari, Someday and Licorice. All three are very stable players that have performed for a long time. On the other extreme of the experience spectrum, we have a group of rookies coming into the league in Fudge, Fake God, Revenge and Niles. Between these two groups, we have players like Huni, who is notoriously up and down in both levels of performance and motivation. We have Finn, whose acquisition by CLG was kind of puzzling to me to say the least. Finn is neither a promising rookie with heaps of latent ability, nor is he one of the best like Perks, so using an import spot for him is not the right decision in my book. And then we also have a couple of orgs in EG and TSM who don't have a signed top laner yet, as well as a couple of LCS veterans floating around, namely Haunter and Impact, none of which would really shake up the league too much. In the jungle, the picture hasn't changed too much from last year. Sure, a couple of players wear new jerseys, but except for Jose Deodo, Xerxes, and Iconic, the faces remain the same. These three aren't going to bring a new level of jungling to NA, and since Santorin has proven himself time and time again against this competition, I think he will do it once more, especially with a better team around him than ever. Only one question remains: will Blabber regain his form, and can he make the jungle his playground once again? As opposed to the jungle, a new level might have very well been added to the NALCS mid laner pool. Much has been said about the legend that is Perkz. Alongside him, Jensen stands atop the NALCS mid laners, and I believe no other player can play up to their level. Power of Evil may do it at his best points, and Jizuke might do it in the lane, and that's if he gets to play, but no one can do it consistently. Coming down into the bot lane, Sven was arguably the best ADC in 2020, and for my money is guaranteed to be top 3 next year as well, barring bombshell acquisitions by TSM, Dignitas, and EG, who still lack their starting AD carry. Tactical will have to prove himself again after his rookie split, but in 2020 he didn't take any time to get going. If he can keep it up, or hopefully even improve on that level, he will be among the best ADCs in NA in 2021 as well, since otherwise it's just the same old, like Wild Turtle, Stixxay, maybe Apollo, and a mix of unproven to slightly proven talents in FBI, Johnson, and Reyes. As for the support role, Core JJ and Vulcan are both really strong. Vulcan, slightly better in lane and not credited as much for major shot calling like Core JJ is, but then again, that's maybe for the better with how C9's 2020 season ended. If you want to take the credit for a lot of shot calling, you also have to take the blame, and I don't know if Vulcan would want that on his shot calling resume. Outside of these two, support is almost as underwhelming as ADC is. A lot of the players are veterans who have proven that they are kind of middle of the pack. Huhi isn't strong enough mechanically, Smoothie never got his big breakthrough, Afromu is past his prime, Ignar has to engage or else he's useless, and Destiny has shown that he's average to below average in EU. The only two rays of sunshine through those heavy clouds are two upcomers, Diamond on FlyQuest and Newbie on the Golden Guardians, as well as TSM signing Sword Art, coming to NA fresh off his World Finals appearance. On paper, neither player on C9 or TL stand out extremely like Caps did in the summer of LEC or Kaiser did in spring, but TL have arguably the best players in 4 out of 5 positions with a promising rookie in the 5th, and C9 have that in 3 out of 5, with Gambles in top in the jungle, where both players are well known to the organization through their long stint with them through the academy side. All the other teams, or most of them, have players in 1 or 2 positions where they can come close or even compete, but sadly it's never the entire roster. 100 Thieves have Sunday and Closer, who are amongst the best in NA, but they also have Demonte, FBI and Huhi, who aren't going to live up to their individual counterparts, much less all 3. CLG have assembled a nightmare roster if you ask me. Not even one hard carry player to put the rest of the team on his back. The best thing that can be said about this team is that Pobelter and Smoothie aren't bad. Dignitas are still looking for their ADC, but with Dardoch, Afromu, and especially Soligo, they aren't off to a good start. One is notoriously hard to work with and hasn't performed up to his peaks in a long time. The second one, I'm sorry, is just straight washed up. And the third one has been a lower level LCS mid laner every split that he played so far. In the top lane, Fake God will get another chance to prove himself after playing for 100 Thieves in 2019 and then going back down to the academy. EG have retained Svenskeren, so at least they got that going for them. He's a good jungler for sure, but he's also cooled off from his career best form in 2019. Other than that, they have Huni, Jizuke and Ignar, who are all wildly inconsistent, which doesn't spell out good things for this team in 2021. FlyQuest have potential, but they have too much of it if you ask me. Licorice is their rock in the top lane, that's a good place to start. But around him, they have to hope that Diamond and Palafox come through at this level, that Johnson can improve on the level he showed in his rookie split, and that Jose Deodo can be integrated smoothly into this team. All three coming through for spring is very unlikely. I would doubt it even for summer. On a similar note, GG is all potential, no tangible whatsoever, even more extreme than FlyQuest. Immortals are underwhelming to me. Cersei and Destiny have gone from promising talents to middle of the pack players, or even worse for Destiny in Europe. Insanity was bottom tier in 2020 from what I've seen and heard, and Revenge and Reyes are basically unproven. They also still have Apollo in the books, but he has already shown that his peak is slightly above average at best. Last, but certainly not least, TSM have some good pieces in Power of Evil and Speaker. But I believe people will overrate Sword Art, who admittedly just made it to the World's Finals, but I think that was one of the biggest upset runs in LOL eSport history. And if you look at his performance, his level over the entirety of 2020, him and Suning as a whole have definitely peaked at the World Championship. With Doublelift retiring, TSM will also have to pick up a new bot laner or field their Academy ADC from 2020 in Lost, and they also need to pick up a top laner as well. All in all, the LCS field for 2021 seems to me like a valley between two large mountains with a couple of hills sprinkled in for good measure. And to keep the metaphor alive for longer than I really should have, I think we're going to have to see whose peak will be able to break through the clouds, Cloud9 or Team Liquid, fighting for dominance in NA. As always, thanks for watching, and if you've made it this far, why not also hit that like button, that subscribe button? I would appreciate it a lot. And if you have even more free time on your hands, maybe you might even move over one browser tab or app to a place called Twitter, where you can follow me as well at Esports Idaho and discuss with me any of the stupid stuff that I said in this video, which you can also do in the comment section below. Until we meet again, farewell.